What's up, everybody? And thank you. You are tuning in to Real Labs. It is Thursday. That's right. The voice that you are hearing is Mr. James John. I am back, baby. That's right. I took a little time off because it was my birthday and I celebrated Mother's Day. This is Real Labs on 104.1. I'm in virtual studio with some very good friends of mine. First off, we'll talk to Mr. Mike Hurley, also the producer and writer of my television show on Afro, which is featured on Xfinity Comcast, channel 1623. Mr. Mike Hurley, how you feeling today?
That's right. Also, nationally touring degenerate. I don't feel like enough people mention that from time to time.
Gotcha.
I'm doing okay, man. I had to close down all my social media. Had to basically change my phone number. You know what? I'm getting checked for pre-diabetes this week, and I think maybe my blood sugar was a little low, and maybe I said some things that were a little too true for people to handle yesterday. So if you want to figure out why I have security guards outside my condo now, go ahead and listen to yesterday's episode, and please send help and pizza. Thank you.
That's right. Mike may have said some things about stay-at-home moms and about them getting off their butt and doing something, but don't take my word
not
for
in
it.
those words. Allegedly, just saying it's not $167,000 a year job, and if you can show me on paper how it is, you can go apply elsewhere. That's
gotcha. Now, if you don't believe me, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go listen to our past episodes on the iHeart app. Just look up Real Laughs, or you can go to Spotify or iTunes. Next up, we have Mr. Jeff Kaufman with us. Not only does this man make comic books, he is a great lawyer, but Jeff also tells a little bit about your podcast and radio show that's going very well so far right here on 104.1.
Yeah, we do a show called Under Oath where we just touch on the legal stuff a little bit, but normally we just go off. I mean, I had the sheriff of Volusia County last week, the one who had the 12 and the 14-year-old shooting AKs at him.
Yes,
that was fun.
Ooh, now Jeff mentioned that they just touch on the legal stuff, but they always get consent before they do it.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, we get permission. And then this week we actually have Ginger Minge, believe it or not, who was the runner-up in Drag Race.
Yes.
Season 7. So that was I got to interview her. That was a lot of fun.
Like it. Yeah, I love it.
I've met her. I think
you have.
Yeah.
Great singer. Oh, and that was allegedly Mike.
What,
and
allegedly?
He's claiming he was hacked. From yesterday's show. That wasn't him. We were hacked. That's why. Those were the comments were made by Evil Mike.
I said it. I said what I said.
Know what I said. Also in studio with us as always, we have the Godfather of Orlando comedy, Mr. Ken Miller. What's going on, baby?
What's up, brother? Missed y'all, man. Glad y'all weirdos are back.
It feels good to be back, man. I will tell you the truth, though. It felt great having a little R&R, a little time away, man, a little mental health, if you will. That's one of the things I've been saying a lot more lately is mental health. As I get older, I realize that is a real thing and you need to take care of it, man. Sometimes you got to unplug, you got to unwind and go do something fun.
I was listening to an interview with Sam Jackson, who you know works all the time.
Yeah.
And he says he legit takes a whole month off. He says it's like the military, you get 30 days leave. He says, I work all year, but I take 1 month where I don't do movies, TV. I don't answer my phone. I don't social media for 30 straight days.
Wow.
I'm out.
But Sam could do that. Yeah, I believe that.
I mean, I think in the military, that's what I did. When I get my leaves, I would take my 30 straight days.
That's what you would do.
I'm saying? Like I would take my
take Thanksgiving, man. You got to travel. I was in the Army. You take Thanksgiving. You take Christmas.
Nah, I never went home for holidays. I was stationed in Arizona.
Ken, on that 30 days, you ever get towards the end thinking about like maybe just going AWOL? You're like,
nah,
like how I don't want to go in on a Monday.
Days, and I'm like, nah, Mike, I was home for 30 days. I'm like, I got to get my ass back.
Time
to
go
Arizona.
back. You're telling your wife, oh babe, they changed their mind. They need me back now. 20 days.
Yeah. About that, Jeff, man. When I was young, I was so happy to be away from home. I didn't want to go home for holidays. I was one of them. I was happy to be away, so I was cool. If somebody wanted to go home for the 4-day weekend, I didn't care. I go to the mess hall and eat Thanksgiving there, or me and my friends hung out. Not until I got stationed in DC when I was closer to Carolina, then I would come home for the holidays.
That's a shorter
but
trip.
When I was in Arizona, man, I wasn't going home for that.
Nah. I will tell you, man, I enjoyed myself. I had a little staycation. The wife got me a suite for 2 days for her and I over at Universal Studios. She took me to Universal, which I'm like you, Mike. I love Disney. I love Universal. I'm a theme park guy. I will spend all day there, like from beginning, like opening. I'll be there that early, and I will stay the whole day and be the happiest, biggest kid you've ever seen in your life. So we did that, and of course, we got to eat some good food, which is also my second favorite thing in the world to do. So it was a great little getaway, man. I had some rest. I got to relax, got to eat good food, got to spend it with my baby. It was awesome, and it got me to realize the older I get, I am less worried about getting a physical gift than I am about having a good experience. I think I like that more than anything now. You don't have to buy me anything like shoes or clothes or get me something expensive. I would just rather go somewhere and have some type of experience, and that makes me feel good now on my birthday. So I was going to ask you guys, what's like your best birthday? What's your ideal birthday experience? Like if you get to choose everything like you wanted to do, what would it be? Would it be a trip? Would you go anywhere? It would just be something simple. So like Mike, do you have like your perfect birthday in mind, man?
I had my perfect birthday when I hit 40, and I didn't even know I didn't even know what I wanted for a perfect birthday. I'll do this story as quick as I can. When I was a kid, my dad, we moved down to Florida. It took forever to get to Disney from when we moved because we just didn't have the money to go. So then my dad saves up money and he takes me, my two brothers, and my mom for a weekend at Disney. We stay at a cheap motel on 192, and as a bonus, he takes us to medieval times one night. Okay, I'm like 8 years old. Okay. He takes us medieval times. We go medieval times. I see this sword in the gift shop, like a metal sword, because this was the 80s when a kid could still have a metal sword in it. I was thinking twice about it. And all I wanted was that sword, because I knew with that sword, I could defend my house and my neighborhood, you know?
Like a proper gentleman.
Yeah. And it was $20. And I wanted it. And I said, Dad, I want that. And my dad saw the price and he pulled me aside. He's like, hey, man, I can't get you that sword. It's $20. It's just not in our budget. I would love to buy you that sword. And it was the first time he had talked to me like an adult. Fast forward to my 40th birthday. They call me the day before my 40th birthday. They're like, Mike, we're coming up. We got dinner plans. We're taking you out, you and the kids and their mom and everything. I'm like, okay, where? He's like, it's a surprise. They come up. I figure we're just going to go grab dinner somewhere, Algar or something. They take me medieval times. I'm in the back of the van. And when I see where we're pulling into, I start like getting all emotional. I haven't been to medieval times since I was 8 years old. We go in there, and the first thing my dad does is go and signs me up. They do this little knighting ceremony for kids where the king calls you up, says your name, and makes you a knight. He paid for it for me to go up. And now that I'm older, I couldn't be a knight, but he made me a lord and gave me my own land. And like for like a week, I was telling people that I was going to kick him off my lordship land and stuff like that. You know what irks me the most, though? Both my kids see swords behind the counter. And Grandpa Hurley, he goes, yeah, pick out whichever one you want, guys. And I just turned and I said, excuse me? No, they ain't getting no effing swords. And he's like, oh, you want one too? Because you never, is this the we never got you the swords thing again? I'm like, ruined my. But what I'm saying is, my kids got swords. I got to go medieval times. I got to spend time with my family. And it was just, like you said, the experience more than anything. Yeah.
Yes. That's where I think we are now, the older we get. Like, Jeff, you are a man that has the means and resources to do pretty much a lot of things, anything you want at some point. So what's the perfect birthday for Jeff Kaufman?
You know, it depends on how you live your life. It's not about it's not about cash. People think it's you're gonna do this thing. I'm gonna go NBA finals, some stuff like that. For me, it's just a place where I don't have to think about anything. You know, and normally that's away from something like for Thanksgiving. It's not my birthday because my birthday, regular stuff is going on during my birthday. So if I had my birthday in Thanksgiving, because I went to Niagara for my birthday, Niagara Falls, Canada. I crossed the border. Nobody's there. The place is empty. Offices are closed. There's no phone calls. There's no nothing. And I'm just eating and not thinking about anything for 4 days. Nobody calling you saying, hey, Jeff, you know, and the hey, Jeff calls are brutal. You know,
I think I know Jeff's. I know what I'm getting him for his birthday this year. I'm going to get him a table for one at Ruth Chris Steakhouse with the table that faces the window outside so he can just watch homeless people not eating while he dines on a huge porterhouse with all the fixings.
And I just lick the window. Every piece lasts an hour, you know. Just
and then they bring out the birthday cake big enough for 20 people and he eats it himself.
Yeah. And then I
just
throw
hold up
half the steak away. Yeah.
It's the
Hold some
experience.
pork up to the
It's
window.
experience.
Yeah.
He just holds it up to the homeless guy.
Oh, I can't get through the glass. I'm trying. Oh, look at him. He's smiling. He's happy as he can be right now.
If that homeless guy called me fat, I would do it. You know, that was not, that ain't right.
Never gonna let that go.
I don't want
Am
that insulting homeless dude. That's not
The
right.
the opinion of man who nothing worked out in his life called you fat, and that's on your mind is killing me. That's great.
And in
I
a
got enough
perfect
problems
world,
with
Mike,
looking at pictures of myself. I don't need him to be my mirror.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that one.
in a perfect world, that steak would be prepared by a stay-at-home mom. Like,
Oh no, because being a chef would be a real job, and we can't do that.
we gonna get canceled.
Yeah. Cooking at Ruth Chris is a little different than preheating some dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets. Okay, give me a break.
Wow.
Hey, we don't preheat. We have an air fryer now. We don't preheat anything.
Hey, Ken, real quick before we go to break, we have about 3 minutes, man. What would be the perfect birthday for Ken? This is gonna be hard because Ken, every time I see you out, you are celebrating and having a good time. So what would be your perfect birthday?
Dude, you know, like dinner and movie has always been like my go-to. I like that. But when I tell you my 45th was the legit the best birthday I've ever had. The cigar and whiskey party. It's two things I love. Cigar, whiskeys, and just everybody having a good time. Like,
and that sounds like an experience. Yeah.
And that's an experience. Oh, we had a black dude. The stuff, the posters and stuff my wife made still hanging up in the living room. Like my birthday was in March. All my gifts and stuff still up in the living room.
That's
like,
nice.
look, it's still my birthday. So that was probably the dopest. That was
you ever had.
Yeah, that was dope. So, you know, I told you if my birthday ends with a 5 or 0 that year, I'm partying.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
in
Those are the
between
big
that,
ones
you
now.
know, dinner and movies cool with me, man. I can go to a movie and go to dinner and I'm happy.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just spending quality time with somebody you care about. That's the best time.
And I'm a tip.
Yeah, we tip.
Not like their cheap ass friends.
Not like my friends in North Carolina though.
And you know, not just for birthdays. My parents have started doing that with my kids because you know, they got all the toys. You know, they got everything. So I will say this for my kid's mom. She started asking for people rather than give more toys or more stuff like that, like experience. So, you know, I think 2 years ago, my parents got us season passes for the Brevard Zoo. This year they got us SeaWorld stuff. So it's just we got Science Center passes. So it's just nice to have like a Friday off or Saturday off and just say, hey guys, let's go to SeaWorld and just poke around, not be rushed to do everything in one day. We can just go have lunch and see the dolphins, or we can just go to the zoo and feed the giraffes. And yeah, I agree. I mean, let's face it, most of those toys are just going to end up in a pile in the corner of the room, never getting used. But to be able to do those moments with people, yeah, that's huge, man.
That is, man. And my hat's off to you, Mike. You have younger kids and you still do stuff with them. I just learned recently I can't do it. I got a little nephew. He is 1 year old. I spent 2 hours with him. God bless my little CJ, my little nephew. I love him. I call him best friend. I could not walk. I'm like, dude, I was literally wore out. 2 hours with this little kid.
There is a difference between me going to a theme park with, say, like someone like you or Kevin White or a friend and us hitting stuff, and me taking the family through the theme park. Ooh. It's the difference between being Rambo and being, you know, Dwayne The Rock Johnson leading a crew through the jungle. Like, I can travel at a pace, but if I'm responsible for leaving none of you behind, it's a little different story.
It definitely is.
Listen, I'm not hearing this anymore. I got to be straight with you. 40 to 50 times a year, I take my 16-year-old autistic kid through Disney, Universal. And listen, I love the people who work there. I love you. You're fantastic people. But I must honestly say, I hate that place. I can't do it anymore.
Hey,
I can't do it, man. You ain't done Small World 200 times a year.
On that
you ain't done Figment of the Imagination where you have nothing to imagine anymore.
We'll be right back.
This last segment brought to you by Disney World.
All right, don't go anywhere. Real Last 104.1. Back, everybody. You are still listening to Real Laughs on 104.1. Want to remind you guys, if you want to listen to all our past episodes, be sure to get the iHeart app. Go to Real Laughs and listen. You can definitely listen to us now on YouTube. You can not only hear us, but see these beautiful smiling faces, as well as going to Spotify or iTunes, baby. That's right. Now, before we left, we were talking about what makes people a little crazy when they go to the theme parks and being with little kids. Jeff Kaufman, he was telling us that we don't know his pain, because I spent 2 hours with my little nephew and I was wore out. But my man, he religiously every week does what, Jeff?
Every week he wants to go to the park, and I got to go normally, unless I can blame it on the weather. Now I'm blaming it on old. I'm like, I'm old. I got to go to a movie. But he does that, and he doesn't do the ride. He needs to repeat the ride like 4 or 5 times. And I'm not talking like the good rides. I'm talking like Figment 6 times. Wow. You know.
Now, Jeff, do you do the fast pass thing when you go now, or is that included with your tickets? Or like, I know a lot of the rides have like the ride.
He's got a disability. Universal. I get the after 4, and we get in faster. But I mean, that only gets you through once. But I think once he makes everyone crazy, they're just willing to do anything for him. Like he comes up to you, what time do you get off? And I mean, like I said, he sounds like he's going through puberty. He's 6'2" and sounds like Cookie Monster. So he lays these people out. What's your name? What's your and he wants their schedule. He wants everything. It's like he's going to kill these people. And some of them know him, but then there's always the guy who doesn't know him, who's like, I don't feel comfortable giving that information. I said, relax with your PTSD from working at Disney. Okay. You know.
I can imagine you go so much, Jeff. They must recognize you guys by now, right?
He gets recognized everywhere. 7-Eleven. I mean, he yells at people at Chili's. I mean, he doesn't care. He really doesn't. But you know, once you know him, you're like, oh, that's just Jacob. And he loves you. He you know, he generally meets you once. He knows everything about you. He knows your relatives. He remembers everything, and that's just his thing. But I mean, it's. When you go through the park with a 6'2" kid who some people don't realize he's autistic, you know, you're gonna. Some people give you a face. Some people think he's gay. I'm like, he's not hitting on you, dude. And if he was, you'd be lucky. You know, look at you.
There you go.
Like crap.
Speaking of social interactions, I had this weird one, and I'm pretty sure I handled it wrong, as I do everything else.
No, was it with a stay-at-home mom?
No, I was at Barnes and Nobles. And I took the kids to get some books, and we got some books. And my youngest has his nails painted right now. He likes to have his nails painted sometimes. Yeah, you know, no biggie.
That's not uncommon, by the way.
No, not at all. So we go to Barnes and Nobles, and we're paying for the books. And the person working behind the counter, younger person, you know, probably teen still, looks at his nails and goes, "Hey, I really like your nails." And Ollie's, my youngest is, you know, he's shy. Sometimes he's, but anyways, so the person goes, "I really like your nails." And Ollie just takes his book and turns away. And I'm like, "Ollie, say thank you." And the person behind the counter goes, No. They said, no. They automatically, not wanting to assume any of my son's pronouns, no, they don't have to say thank you. I used to hate that when my parents would force me to take compliments or give hugs. And I turned and I said, number one, I would never have my son hug you. I'm like, and number two, mind your business, you know, because I'm still like, I get what you're saying, but also I know my son better than you. So I understand when it's my son being shy. And I also understand that I'm teaching my child. It's still my job as a parent to teach him, especially respect and manners. If someone gives you a compliment, you say thank you. And I don't care what level of you think that's being forced or whatever. No, that is common courtesy. And I think that's part of the problem today. There's some things that aren't being forced on you because of who you are. There's things that are just common decency as human beings. And stop making that a personal choice. And just like the whole Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa. I'm one of those people, you can say any of those to me. I'm going to be fine. I'm just happy that you're wishing me a happy something. You know, the people who, when I say Merry Christmas to them and they go back, oh, it's Happy Holidays, not Merry Christmas. Well, you know what? Really? It's sucky holidays to you because that's who you are, you know?
Really? Yeah.
Listen, I'm
killing you
Jewish,
that
and
much.
somebody wished me a happy Merry Christmas. I'm like, thank you, man. I appreciate you actually showing me some kind of compassion. And here's what I used to work with did juvenile law, and everyone asked me what the problem always was, and I said it's real simple. Look at the parent. You could always tell 99% of the time what's wrong with this kid because his parent was either an enabler or an a-hole, and they're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And I see that all the time. And that guy looked over and said something to you. The proper answer was like, your parents obviously didn't give you enough training, or you wouldn't have said that to me.
And you know what? I've seen a good case now. I've seen a good case where and I try not to do this with my kids now because I used to do it. But when we're leaving grandma and grandpa's, I used to say, hey, go give grandpa a hug or go give grandma a hug. So you know what? I don't do that anymore because I read a couple of stories about forcing affection and stuff like that. I'm like, that was never my intent. But if they feel uncomfortable like that, then no. But I do say, go say goodbye to grandpa, go say goodbye to grandma, whether they do a fist bump or a hug, whatever they're in the mood for that day, that's fine. But for you to tell me that I'm wrong for telling my child to accept a compliment or at least recognize that you gave a compliment. At that point, I don't care if my kid turns around and says, mind your business about my nails or whatever else. But you need to learn to interact with other people,
bro.
You know?
And I bet you that dude went home and was on Facebook, told his parent today, you're not gonna tell my kid. I can guarantee you, he was like, yeah, had this parent come in today and force his kid to say thank you or you're welcome to me. We shouldn't be forcing our kids to do anything.
Ken, I'm sure that's exactly what they did.
Hashtag not on my watch.
But yeah, no, I appreciate. How about this? How about let's make it easier? You're going to tell me not to tell my kid to accept compliments. How about you don't go around complimenting little 8-year-old boys? How about that? If we want to talk about societal norms,
Neverland Ranch boy. Yeah, how about we do that? But I will say this, man. It's a weird thing, and I know I'm going to sound like the old guy when I say it, Mike. I'm glad you brought it up. Kids don't know how to socially interact anymore. And I'm not talking about Ollie. What I'm talking about is the fact that no one's teaching them to be courteous anymore. It's like what do you call it? It's like considered old fashioned for kids to say thank you or sir or ma'am. Like they don't do that. Like I don't understand when we had that switch happen. But in my house, it's you will say sir, you will say ma'am when we're in the outside public when you're dealing with anyone. And I would make my kids learn social skills where I would make them talk to the people instead of me doing it for them. Because my wife, like I told you, she works in a doctor's office and she has 20-year-olds still come in with their parents and let their parents talk to the receptionist instead of the 20-year-old just coming in by himself.
But you're not even supposed to do that because if I come in with Junior, because Junior's on my health insurance,
it's HIPAA.
Like, hey, I go sit down.
Yeah,
I go sit down. I'm like, Junior, I can't be up here. This is you're 21 now. Like I can't.
Yes.
This is your health insurance. I can't be the one that's
like there's kids that don't even know how to order food at a restaurant because they're not taught those social skills. Their parents still do it for them. I think that's insanity, man.
There's that thing out there where there's that saying you gotta give respect to get respect. But the problem with that is someone has to give respect first in every interaction. So I always go into my interactions with being like, if you guys have been with me when I order, I'm the nicest that can be to the server. Yeah. I'm the nicest that can be at the drive-through. I'm like, hey, how you doing tonight? It throws people off at the drive-through when I pull up. They're like, go ahead with your order. I'm like, hey, how you doing tonight? Oh, good. Thanks, man. Go on with the order.
A little decency. And the problem is people aren't taught it anymore and they don't understand it. I mean, Apple right now, because of COVID, a lot of people work from home. Well, Apple's like saying, listen, I want you guys to come back to work. And the manager, the guy who runs the place goes, yeah, they're just not feeling it. And I'm going, what the hell are you talking about? And they go, well, we only want you to come in. They're trying to even you only have to come in once a week. Yeah, they don't feel, they don't want to. And I'm thinking to myself, have we become so nothing? And I want you to know, I know some people are great at working from home. Some people have that internal discipline and that moral compass where they're not going to just take off and walk around the lake. But a lot of people don't.
Amen.
I work in a place where we always say if people would just put the work before the feelings, then the feelings would be in a better place. Because a lot of times when you go at someone at my job, like, hey, you didn't do this. Oh, I feel like you're angry with me. Yeah, well, I feel like you didn't do your job. And that's why I'm angry with you. But it's like, well, we need to have a sit down and a talk about the way you address me. How about this? How about you just do your job, and then you'll never have to worry about how upset I am.
Yeah. We had the issue, Jeff, about the going back to work, but it was more of our GM and director was like, hey, tell the big boss, like, these guys are 110% better at home, and our job can be done at home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and now we've been here for 2 years. He's like, we don't want to change it. Now it's the opposite. Now, if you got somebody who ain't doing good at home, yeah, I get it. But
they got to go back to work. Yeah,
for us, it's like when I tell you our numbers have been the best, and I'm 17 years at this company. This is the best we have, to the point where sometimes I don't even have work because we've done everything.
Wow,
you know what I mean? So
are we talking about customer service?
Yeah, man, customer service. Yeah.
Okay. When you have to create a product, when you have to, and it has to be done right, and you have to make sure it's clean and everything, like the law, for example. A lot of law firms right now are turning in terrible work. They're not talking to their clients. They're not doing to any of that stuff because the paralegals aren't picking up the phone. They don't want to be part of it anymore. They're used to somebody watching over them. And when they're at home, a lot of them don't have a clue. And I'm not talking just paralegals, but anytime you have to create something, if you are just responding to something, I got to respond to an email. I got to respond. But if your work has to be, how could I say it? Criticized. If you need to critiqued, or if you like a factory, you can't do factory work from home.
No.
There are certain things you can't do from home. And Apple, for example, you have people who are creating, they're working together. They go, we could work on the internet. There's just a whole different kind of thing.
But I think part of it too is just a lot of the old fashioned, this is the way it's always been done. So like Ken said, when you're seeing that the results you're getting are better when people are at home, there's still those people going, well, we paid rent on this building. We got to fill the building with something. But why? Overhead. We're getting better results at home. No. I worked from an office. They have to come in and work from an office. At some point you need to look at the data and go, hey, this is sustainable and actually better for a company like this. And yeah, Jeff, there's jobs like the auto mechanic can't work from home. He can't be like, just put me on the video screen.
Here's the thing you're not realizing. This is the thing. If your job can be done at home, then it doesn't have to be done in this country. That's what they call outsourcing your job.
And that's why 80% of the time I'm working in India right now. I'm that voice in India.
That's it. My name is Bob.
Hello. Yeah. Hello.
That's what people do, and I've seen that happen. I've seen even law firms do that, where they outsource the work to foreign countries. And that's what people don't realize. Stuff like that will happen. You screw around with the business long enough, they'll figure out a way.
It as well, but after a couple of years, our customers were like, "Look, if I can't get somebody in America, I'm switching." And they was like, "Well, let's move this call center back to the States." Because that's usually all it takes is the consumer to be like, look, man, I want to get somebody that I understand. And they'll be like, all right, switch them.
If it costs them enough money, they'll move it to where the customer wants it. That makes a lot of sense, though, man. Now, I want to talk to you about something, Jeff, when we get back. We got about 40 seconds here. I know we've all seen it on the news, on social media, and I just want to make sense of it. And this is right up your alley, Jeff. I am talking about the defamation court case that's going on between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I've heard some crazy things. We'll talk about it when we get back, because a lot of it's just unbelievable. Like,
you doo-doo in the bed? I love that
one. So guys, stick with us. There's more of that from Mr. Kaufman when we return right here on Real Last 104.1. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back and hear some of the legal, explanations on what this really means and what impact it might have on both their careers. Right here, Real Labs. Welcome back, everybody. You are still listening to Real Labs on 104.1 Real Radio. We'll remind everybody, if you want to listen to all our past episodes, don't worry, don't fret. All you have to do is download the iHeart app and look up Real Labs. We're also on Spotify. We are on iTunes. And now we are on YouTube. That's right. You can not only hear us, but see these smiling faces. That's right. So be sure to go to that, like, comment, and subscribe. Now, Jeff Kaufman, I'm glad you're here today because there's something going on in the news that has to do with some a court case right now, a defamation suit that's going on between Mr. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And I would love for you to make some sense of this. Now, a little background before we start. Now, originally, this was tried if I got this right, Jeff, the first case was overseas.
No,
this in America?
No, this is nonsense. What happens is that in London, one of the newspapers wrote about it.
Okay.
And Depp sued that newspaper, which is a
Okay.
huge mistake because in England the laws are different. It's harder to show that somebody did something wrong, and it's very easy to get burned. And you're putting it in front of just some lunatic judge and hoping that this guy who got appointed might do his job. And what happened was this judge was making some weird rulings like the do and the bad. I make a joke about that because one of the people in the audience, when she walks out of the courtroom, some woman screams, "Why you make doo-doo?" And it was funny. But in this case, this judge actually made a ruling. He goes, and his ruling on it was going, I can't imagine a person would actually make doo-doo in the bed.
Wow.
He didn't forget the evidence. He, in his heart, he couldn't imagine somebody doing something like that. So he ruled in favor of the newspaper.
All right, Jeff.
And it wasn't heard. It was the newspaper.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we delve into the actual case, just want to say some of the fallout before all this went down. Now, because Johnny Depp was accused of this, domestic violence. Certain things in Hollywood were taken away from him, right? Like he was going to be
every
in the
potential
next
job
movie.
got pulled. Every job, including you're talking about 2 franchises, Fantastic Beast and Pirates of the Caribbean. Which were both $10, $20 million paychecks.
Yes, that's what I heard. He lost.
Yeah.
Now, what possibly can happen from this case, Jeff? Before we get into all the details and everything is happening.
Well, he's suing her for 50. She's countersuing for 100 million. She's claiming that the attorney, when they called her a liar, slandered her.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, all the things that I'm hearing from the court case, and I just want to know the legal aspect. I think in the case of public opinion, I think Johnny's probably winning at this point, right?
The internet loves him. Yes. The internet does not love her.
They do not at this point because she claimed certain things about she was being abused. And then we heard a recording where she was basically saying, even if you tell them that I really hit you, no one's going to believe you.
Yeah, nobody's going to believe you. But here's something I want to pose because nobody's posed this before.
Okay.
Let's say the facts are exactly the same.
Okay.
Exactly the same. But let's swap out Johnny Depp with Steven Seagal.
Okay.
Different case. The internet is not going to support him. Public opinion, it's not going to matter because they're going to look at him and go, he's kind of like a bully. He's kind of like this. You look at him and you feel differently. Johnny Depp has a certain characteristic. He has a certain quality a likability. You take him out of the equation and put somebody rougher in the equation. Like, let's say even Stallone. He's even likable.
Even with all the stuff that comes out about her? You think so?
I mean, that happens to Hollywood cases all the time where you look at certain actors and we generally don't like them as much. Now, he's a very likable guy and he comes off, even with his wise ass comments, he comes off likable. And yes, what she has done is terrible. She hit him, she lied about a bunch of stuff. Yeah, Aquaman was terrible too. Her role in it. But she's only got 10 minutes in the next movie.
Yeah, now, that's what I hear.
You have a lot of things going on. You have her lying and catching her lying all times. Now they've caught Johnny Depp lying too, but they don't air those. They don't air those on purpose. In fact, every time you heard when he said, "Did you sign this?" He went and you see that montage, and they put it together like 10 times. What they don't realize, the questions are being asked when he goes, "So you say this isn't true?" And he goes, "Well, you signed this, right?" And that's showing that he's lying. And they're showing that the document he's saying, "You signed this, right?" Meaning that he agreed to these things that he's now lying about now. But they put it together. They make it look like, oh, this attorney's an idiot, instead of showing that he lies too.
Gotcha.
Well, I think the other thing about this case that differs from a lie is usually when you see a celebrity in court, they're going up against one of us. They're going up someone else that doesn't have celebrity status is saying these things about them. Right now, you got a case of 2 celebrities who are both pretty well off, like going against each other. So it's not like, oh, the underdog or the little guy fighting. Like, she has a career, she has money. Is it as famous as Johnny Depp? No, but at the same time,
she doesn't have the cash he does because, for example, that divorce, the difference between 4 million and 7 million to her was a huge difference.
Yeah, but it's like we always said, it's easier. it's easier to pick on people like Kanye and Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson because we got this feeling that they're part of the hierarchy and they're rich and they're famous. They're elites. So right now we have a case where two elites are going at it compared to if Johnny Depp was just talking about his wife who was a civilian and just going through all this. I think more people would take her side a little more seriously, thinking she sees the side of Johnny that we don't see, you know?
Yeah, but originally people felt that way until they started hearing the tapes.
Yeah.
And the minute you start hearing the tapes of her saying things and saying that she hits him and him lying in the bathroom begging her to stop, and her talking to the psychologist saying, well, yeah, I hit him. So what are you, you hear it on tape. It's not just two people accusing each other. You're talking actual audio proof.
Right.
Somebody
so
admitting
like James was just saying, do you think even with all that type of evidence, that would be different with Stallone and Seagal? Because like you just said, we got all this proof now, but you're still thinking
it could be with
public
Seagal.
opinion.
It could be with somebody somebody who has a bully nature about them that you feel it.
I'll say something very unpopular, and I'm going to try to tread lightly when I say this. It's a concern that right now with the political state of
Ukraine,
the Me Too movement, I'll say that. If someone accuses you of something, like Johnny Depp got accused of something, it's okay for them to take everything away from you, even before due process.
Yeah.
So
there's a reason why. This is where it falls under. So it's the message is more important than the truth, and that's where it lies. If you, for example, I just had a friend of mine who was involved in a huge race case, sexism case, and everything else, and this young lady got up and made all these lies. Well, I was representing two of the witnesses, and they were celebrity people, and it took 2 years for he filed a slander suit, and she doesn't have any money, but he wanted it to be heard, and they finally settled. But the point was that he lost everything. And I had to talk to this attorney who was taking the case pro bono as an outsider. I said, listen, I understand the message is important, but when it gets discovered that she's lying, it's going to damage the message beyond belief.
Yes.
And that is the only time the message is ever taken a backseat to the truth, is when the truth is on tape.
And let me ask this, Jeff, from a legal standpoint, how vulnerable are you if you're accused of something like that?
You're let's say Florida, for example. Let's say, for example, Mike, this weird human being comes out of the closet, makes all these weird. The guy who was working at the Barnes and Noble says that Mike said a bunch of homophobic stuff to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what's going to happen is this: no matter whether Mike's wrong or not, his boss is most likely going to let him go.
Yeah, that's going to say that. Yeah.
And he's going to say, I didn't say that. Even if two people were sitting there. Yeah. Even if two people were sitting there.
So you're saying there's a way out. That's what I'm hearing, Jeff.
There's a way out. Yeah. But you are going to be let go without even a chance. And
just
the truth is, your job isn't protected either.
Yeah,
because
it's just a shame in some country people can't say things like, being a full-time stay-at-home mom is a real job and still have a job tomorrow morning. It's just, what kind of country do we live in when you can't speak the truth?
I mean, it's hard because the message is more important than the truth, and it happens all the time.
So Johnny has to go. What if Johnny didn't have these recordings, though?
He'd be screwed. He said, she said. She said, he said.
That brings up another thing. How are these recordings admissible? Because I thought in most states, both parties have to know of the recording.
Florida might be example, but some states aren't. And the recordings were made in states. Some were made when they're fully aware that they're being made, like, for example, in the doctor's office. But some of these were made
where you don't have
a one-party state.
Privacy.
Well, now that here's my thing. What do you think the aftermath will be if, let's say, he proves his point? He proves I was not the guy that you guys thought I was, and
I don't even think it matters that the jury comes. I don't even think it matters what the jury says or not. The internet loves him. If I was Disney right now with their stock at pooling around 109 from a 160 standpoint just a month ago. What they should do is say, guess what? We're doing Pirates 6 and it's all about Johnny
Depp. Yeah.
And we're giving him $30 million because, we agree the message is important, and we're going to donate $10 million to shelters, and we're going to give Johnny his career back because we're sorry. We rushed to judgment, but we understand this is an important message too.
But that's what happens with any company, right? It's not just Disney. Like if some high profile person at any big company was going through the same thing, they'll probably go through the
They
same
don't let
thing.
him back. No, they don't let him back. For
They don't let 'em
example,
back.
No.
remember the Tigger case I did where the guy was accused of touching somebody in the park.
And he didn't do it.
He was found not guilty. I was able to prove him not. Disney didn't want to give him that job back.
Mm.
And a week later, they figured out a way to let him go. And that's just the way
but
that
I mean,
happens.
that's some random guy compared to Johnny Depp, who's a brand.
He
You don't
wasn't,
think it's
he
in
wasn't
Disney's...
random when you're in the newspaper every day.
Well, what
and
I'm saying is you don't think that there's any good intent for Disney to bring Johnny Depp back into the Disney family fold, or do you think Johnny Depp wouldn't go back to that anyways and just wants a paycheck?
Money.
Listen, they start talking about, his personal thing and his personal stuff, dealing with drinking and drug abuse and things like that. And that's probably, but if I was Disney, I would get him back immediately because people want to see him now. This has basically been the best thing for his career right now.
One of my favorite lines from the trial was they had a box and they're like, "Now is it true you kept cocaine in that box?" He's like, "Oh, in my experience, you wouldn't put cocaine in a box because it would fall through the cracks."
Oh, I heard him. I heard him say once. He goes, "This would be it would be a good place to store cocaine."
Yeah, like just messing with. Now, let me ask you this, Jeff: Is they're making Amber's attorney out to be like an
look
idiot.
a little silly? Yeah,
is he really that silly? Like,
we're taking some things out of context, and the truth is, the judge is allowing some leniency. He needs to lock Depp down, and he can't because he's letting him run. He's letting him run. And Johnny's taking Johnny's smacking him pretty hard. Like his name is Rottenborn. And every time Rottenborn, which is a terrible name for a lawyer. But every time Johnny Depp says, "Yes, Mr. Rottenborn," he emphasizes the rotten.
He sounds like a character in Pirates, like Captain Rottenborn. Yes, I like it.
So this is what's happening. Johnny is humorous. He's funny. I heard the jury. The good thing is I heard the jury said they're leaning forward and laughing. And you're not leaning forward and laughing if you think he committed domestic violence.
No. At one point, Amber Heard's lawyer had Johnny just reading headlines. And he's like, "Do you see that stack in front of you?" He's like, "You mean the stack of hit pieces?" "I just asked you if you saw the stack." "Yes, I wanted to make sure we were talking about the stack of hit pieces." "I'm going to read the titles and you tell me if I read it correctly. Johnny Depp allegedly found drunk." Allegedly. Did I read that correctly? Yes, you read that quite well. Everybody's very proud of you.
Just messing with the guy.
Just messing with him.
He's not prepared to take this heat that he's getting.
No, he's
and
not.
A lot of lawyers wouldn't be. You got to be really good.
All right, guys, we got about a minute left here. I want to make sure I give you guys the opportunity to tell everybody where you're going to be at. Be sure to go support Mr. Joe Neal. That's right. Wind Down Wednesdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Who does he have with him, Mr. Ken
Damon Williams this week. Damon Williams.
There you go. And where are you going to be this week, Mr. Mike Hurley?
This week I am off, but next week I will be at MegaCon the 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th, performing with my good friends, the Geeks of Comedy. Of course, Kevin White's going to be there, as well as Marcus Crespo and some of the other regulars. So if you're at MegaCon next weekend, check us out. Our shows are usually right when the showroom floors close, and we're in one of the big banquet halls. Swing on by. It's going to be a good time.
Very nice. If you guys want to catch me Saturday, I will be in St. Augustine. I will be at the Beacon. That's right. That's the new Jackie Knight's place that she's opened up. We always love supporting her. God bless her, guys. So, and where are you going to be too, Jeff? I'm sorry about that.
I'm going to be in downtown Sanford for a live after 5 in the tent, giving away free Krispy Kreme donuts and legal advice. And then Saturday, I'll be doing Under Oath on iHeartRadio.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for joining us once again. This has been Real Laughs on behalf of myself, Mike Hurley, Ken Miller, and of course, Jeff Kaufman. Thank y'all for listening. We'll see you next week.
MegaCon is 19th through the 22nd.
I was wrong.